Welcome to the Self-Awareness and Self-Compassion Podcast, formerly known as the Full Spectrum Feeling Podcast. I'm your host, Blaise Schwaller, life coach, mom, and former tattoo artist. I help people heal their past, speak their truth, and love the lives that they're living now. Join me here every week for conversations on how to live an imperfect but fully engaged life that embraces all the feels so that you can stretch into your best life while enjoying the you that's here right now. Hello, friends. On the heels of last week when I talked about, what can we reasonably accomplish in only 3 months and in only 13 or 14 weeks, I want to talk this week about the feeling of this time of year, about September going into October, this late summer turning into autumn, and the clearing and the cleaning of clutter. The calming down of exuberance is almost what I want to say. Like there's such an energy of having to do everything all at once. And I feel like that was kind of the mad rush of September was, oh my God, how much can I get done before it gets dark all the time and I'm tired and cranky? And now here we are and we're in October and there's this push to recommit to goals, which seems universal at this point. Just like I talked last week, there's this sense that time is running out and my God, we need to accomplish those goals before the new year or figure out what our goals for next year are going to be. And it's this constant push forward. But what I find is more true is that this time of year is about a more quiet execution of goals, about a kind of settling in and a settling down. So it's like there's been a mad rush. We've done a lot of things. And if I was a bird, I'd want to just do that thing where you flap all your feathers and you fluff yourself out and then just settle down and get quiet and observe and see okay, here I am. This is my place. There is a definite push for me to make my space clean and clear and easy to enjoy. I want it to be really cozy. I want it to be clean. I want it to be, it's interesting. I don't even want it to be that bright. I want it to be bright and sunny, right? If there's sunshine. But I'm craving that kind of golden light that's like a sunset more often or candlelight. I'm like, oh, what would it be like to just have candlelight dinners and maybe just read with a little lantern or something and have it be cozy and quiet and dim. And I know that that's also anticipation of the winter as well, which oddly I associate with it, being cold and brighter than this time of year. I associate the autumn with being cozy and golden and dim, and the winter almost of being that harsh and glaring, light off of ice and water. And I like this piece where it's not quite freezing, but it's cozy. There's still sunsets, but they feel longer and more golden. Maybe it's because where I live, all the trees are going to turn to that golden color soon. And I really look forward to that. And I enjoy the briefness of this. I like thinking about all of the delicious warming foods that I could have and cooking, but it's not active cooking. I don't want to do the kind of chopping and grilling and craziness that I would do in the summer. Even my cooking style changes for this time of year to be I just want to put everything in a pot and smell it simmering. So it's the pot does all the work for me and I don't have to do that much. And maybe that's what part of this year is about as well, is recognizing that there is a rhythm to life and part of it wants to slow down. Part of it wants to still get things done, but mostly have inertia do it for you. Once you set it, you can forget it and it does itself. And then you come and enjoy it. And I like witnessing how animals are doing that as well at this time of year. We're gathering the last of stuff. We're sleeping a little bit more. We're enjoying it being cozy and we're not asking too much of ourselves. At this point, we're happy if we could just find something to eat and be warm enough and hang out with our friends. And I think, honestly, if you look at nature and that's what they're doing, what if we do the same thing and we're just man, you know what? I'm just happy that I have enough to eat and I get to hang out with my friends. And I want to sleep extra because I can. That sounds amazing. And I think we deserve that. Oh, goodness. There's something also about that quieter execution of goals. So to revisit that, to think about all of the things that you had wanted to accomplish that you probably did some heavy pushes towards accomplishing throughout the year, and recognizing that this is a time where we don't necessarily have to stop going towards our goals. It's not like we're putting on the brakes, but maybe we're lifting our foot off of the gas pedal, so it's kind of a deceleration. So we're still moving forward, but we're not racing to the finish line. I find that way more effective than continuing to burn energy that I don't necessarily have. This is a time of year, particularly as we're heading into like major holidays and a more depressive season where it's darker and it's just more difficult, to really think about and plan for things that fuel you back up and that give you energy and that help nourish you. I think of this entire season, like the fall going through the winter, as a season where you want to get as much nourishment into you and restorative time as possible, because come spring and come the summer, there will be that desire and that hard push forward where you have all the energy and you have all the thoughts and you have all the things and you want to get it done. Now is not that time. And that's okay. If you look at your life as passing through seasons, it allows you to have more space for relaxation and for getting things off of your plate, and it allows you to then put them back on at an appropriate time. When you're flowing with the energy of time, with the energy of nature and what's going around you, it seems to me that it's a lot easier to accomplish things. It feels like they just happen or they go easier, and I think it's in part because there's a harmony and a resonance that gets struck when you're kind of in alignment with what's actually going on. So if you take a moment and tap into your body and how you're feeling, and what's going on with you, be honest with yourself and just assess. And it's going to be different. I want to say that for every individual. There will be some of you listening that when you tap in and assess into your body, you're like, actually, I really do want to go to the gym like every day this week. And I have the energy for that. And that feels right and good for me. That is not my personal experience. I don't know if it ever is, but it definitely isn't this time of year. This is where I'm like, oh, I want to go for walks, but I want maybe one walk instead of two. I want to do a couple miles instead of 5. I want to go at a slower pace, and I'm more pensive. Like I'm thinking more, or honestly, sometimes I'm thinking less, like I'm not even thinking that much at all. I'm just kind of being. And I love making space for that, you guys. I love allowing that I don't always have to be coming up with a new idea. I don't always have to be producing a project. I will be honest with you, for the summer, I had 2 major projects going on. One was ancestry and figuring out histories and learning about wars and migrations and things that I had no idea even happened. And that took up a great deal of my mental capacity. And I really enjoyed it, but I spent months doing that. And I was also doing sewing projects and kind of creative, hands-on, crafty things. Now that we're moving into the autumn, I still have some crafty things that I want to do, but I have slowed down. I am not expecting myself to produce, a garment every week or even every few days. Like there was a period there where I was getting like a shirt done a week, which was major for me. Like I'm not actually a seamstress. So I was really proud to get that much done. And now I'm looking at it going, you know what? I'd be really pleased if I make a pair of pants in this next month. And I feel like that's a decent pace for me to go for, and I would feel very pleased with that. That is me tapping into my natural pacing. And I am more at peace this year, making space for that and recognizing that that's how it wants to go, than I was last year or the year before. And part of it is that with every year of assessing and feeling in and getting used to this flow, the more I'm able to trust it and the easier it is for me to just surrender to it and say, okay, it's all right. I'm going to slow down. I'm probably going to read more books and watch more Netflix, and I'm going to go to sleep a little bit earlier, and I'm going to want to drink more tea, and that is okay. I still have, a schedule. I've got normal things that I need to do, just like everyone else. I have my job. I've got my kid. I've got my relationship. I have my house maintenance. It's not that any of those go away. So those still happen, but I'm not planning at a breakneck pace. I'm not pushing myself to outdo what I did last quarter every quarter. I'm recognizing that there is an ebb and flow to my business model. And fortunately for me, it tends to coincide with the spring and the summer. Actually, the summer, it does go down. but it picks up now naturally without me having to push as hard. And what a relief that is too, is to recognize, and please check on yourself. Is it possible that things pick up for you without you having to put in an incredible amount of more effort at this time of year? Or is you putting in more effort just you putting in effort for results that were coming anyway? I'm really curious. So it was hard for me to even consider that a possibility for a while. And I still question it, but I am willing to look for it now, to go, is it possible that results come sometimes not from effort, but from timing? And can I just flow with that timing and work with it, but not overwork it? Because overworking it, you might still get the same amount of result, but you just worked really hard, or you could work like enough and get the same result. That feels so nice, doesn't it? To go like, oh my God, I don't have to work as hard. I could still do a great job and have fun. And good things happen. And I have time to relax and have dessert. Woohoo! So that sounds so good and so nice. I highly recommend it. And it does take a great deal of allowing yourself to relax. And I understand if that's a foreign concept or difficult to even wrap your mind around. It takes practice. But trust me, the more you ask yourself, is there space here to just flow? And if I did that, would the world still be okay? Do I have to put in 100% effort all of the time? Or is the effort that I have right now enough? This is also something that I ask myself at this time of year is, has my 100% changed because of the season? And the answer is yes. So 100%, in January is different from 100% in May. 100% in July is different from 100% in October. So if you look at your everyday and go, today I'm doing the best I can, I'm giving 100%, it does not look the same as 100% of my energy in the summer or in the spring or in any kind of different circumstance. If that is true, that's okay. And please allow yourself to appreciate what you are able to do and how you do show up. And that's really something that it takes surrender. It takes grace with yourself. To me, it feels like a very feminine energy to relax into being, relax into receiving, and allowing yourself to flow with the energy that you have at any given time. It's not necessarily natural at first, but gosh, it becomes so. The more you practice it, the more you get in tune with that, like, oh, I'm just going to show up with what's feeling like it's right for today. It becomes delicious, my friends. Like, you want to show up and do what feels like is the best thing to do today. And trust me, I understand that there are things that we have to do, whether it feels like it's a good idea or not that day. I do understand that, and I do still show up for that. But as much as I can, I do try to look at my weeks and even plan ahead for this. So I think this is where you can find the synergy of allowing for what's possible and what feels good in any given time to flow with what has to be done and goals that you have. So something that I do is I'll look at my week and my month, and I'll ask myself at the beginning, like, what is it that I really want or need to accomplish this month, want or need to accomplish this week? And can I make blocks of time where there's space for this to happen so that when I catch the wave that says this seems like the best time for this, I can dive in and tap into that energy. So for example, a lot of things outside, there's a better time and a worse time to do them. So for instance, we have trees that we need to trim back, and I might want to do them in August, but guess what? It's like 100 degrees. There's leaves on the trees. It's really difficult. And this past summer, it was like 100 degrees and raining all the time. So it just was a terrible time to do any of that. It's going to be the right time in October. Like, those leaves will fall. It'll be cool enough. And then you have like a brief window of time where it's not too cold and there's not too much leaves. And that's when you do all of your like trimming of the branches and all of that stuff. And you have space and it's easier to do. So you have to kind of make space for that to happen when the timing is right. In the same way that, like with work and sales and paperwork and management and all of that, there is a time where all of that flows better. When like your people have shown up, that's the time to show up for them, right? You don't show up when no one's in the room. You show up when there they are. So you make space and go, oh, it seems like everyone's here right now. I'm going to ramp up that aspect of my life. It's the same thing with my kid. Like, there's times when she's home and times when she's at school, and you flow with what's happening and you structure your life accordingly. But I'm telling you, like when you make space for it in advance, knowing that some of these things are going to happen, there's such pleasure, I guess, in being able to get a huge amount accomplished in a short amount of time because you've created enough space to get involved in it when the going was good. It's like recognizing when it's a good day to go fishing. And you're like, oh my God, the fish are out. So you're just going to go out and have a great day versus wanting to go out and nothing's there. So it's taking advantage of what energy is available, what circumstance is actually alive and happening, and just allowing yourself to be present. So much of my life is turning into how can I be most present for what actually is. I find I get most frustrated at myself these days when I'm stuck somewhere else than what's good right now. When I'm like, God, I want to be working on blah, 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 but I have to blah, blah, blah on this other thing. And I'm trying to notice that about myself and come up with some ways to convince myself to show up for what's actually happening versus what I thought I wanted to do. I will tell you about that more when I figure it out better. I don't have perfect strategies on how to convince yourself that you want to do something that you weren't really excited about, but that's on your list to do. We'll talk about that in another episode. But it's enough, I think, to recognize that there are many things that we want to do, and it's okay to tackle the ones that feel right in the moment. Leave enough space to be able to transition. Like, I can't sing the praises of that enough, is the more space you can make in your life, the better. Trying to do too many things just burns you out. And each person, like we're our own well, but it's not infinite energy. It just isn't. Some people do seem to have more than others, but even they have a limit. And we need to be mindful of that and tap into what's ours and use it well. That seems so repetitive. Use it to the best of our ability. When we do that, I feel like we're living in harmony and we're able to slow down and be present for what's truly happening, what's seasonal for us. So as we move through this autumn season and things seem like they kind of want to slow down, or maybe they are slowing down and it's freaking you out, what if you're able to just see it for what it is just a passing moment in time? It's a process that's happening that you're a part of, and say, okay, this is the time for slowing down. Maybe I'm not ready yet, but I'm just going to test it out and see what it might be like if I did. I hope, though, that you really get to enjoy it and that you don't try to cram too much into these last few months. Maybe it's okay to just do a little bit less and have more fun. And that's really what I'm wishing for all of you, is to have more fun going into this season, going into the new year, finding a little bit more joy, finding a little bit more peace, and finding a little bit more compassion for yourself and through that for others. Have a wonderful week, my friends, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and share it with someone you love, and leave us a review. You can learn more and get some self-compassion tips and tricks by visiting coachwithblaze.com, where you can sign up to get my free booklet on overcoming anxiety, overwhelm, exhaustion, and burnout. I'm sending you so much appreciation and love, and I'll see you next time.